Alrighty, good morning, guys. We are going to do a full build and wick on the 30 V2 Mini in an up closey, so everybody can see it a little better. Having some morning coffee here. So what I do on a velocity deck every single time is, a lot of people ask me, where do you cut the legs? And this applies for any velocity deck. So what I do is I put one coil in one side. I'll take my mandrel, 3.5mm, for this one in particular. I take my snips. I have my coil in there nice and snug to the posts without the screws tight. We're going to snip the legs. Okay, so legs are snipped. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take that coil on the mandrel. We're going to set it off to the side. Then we're going to take our second coil. We're going to put our second coil in. Nice and tight to the posts. Grab our mandrel. Mandrel in. Holding the coil tight to the posts. Tighten up our legs. Okay. Use my other mandrel. It's a little longer. From here, all we're just going to do is bring our coil up a little bit. We'll pretty that up in a second, but we're going to cut these legs. Okay. Now we're going to grab our other coil that already has its legs cut. At this point, a light bulb should go off and go, oh, that makes sense. Because now these legs are already cut and they're not going to foul the other coil. I'm going to actually scooch this over a little bit. There we go. Now with the Mini, you want your coils raised up just a little above the posts. Yeah.
What she did was she was underneath the sink, and I turned the water on for her while I was going to pee.
Mm-hmm.
and she started batting at the water. Then she lifted her pot, lost her balance, and fell into the sink.
She's a goofy kitty. Alright, now take a quick look. Everything looks good. Gonna hop on our DNA here. Turn our wattage way down. Start at 35 watts. New coil, yes. Sometimes you'll have a hot spot on your very last wrap out here. All I do for that is just grab that last leg, give her a little tug. I'm going to jump up in wattage now. We're going to recheck our resistance because it's come up a lot. Yep, it has doubled. Okay. Went from 35 watts at initial up to 75 watts. Just short little pulses. Taking your time to get these hot spots out. Bless you. You always want to make sure you look inside the coil in case there's a hot spot underneath here that you can't see. Although right now we're looking good. I'm going to jump up to 110 watts. Looking good. Okay. We're gonna hit it 170. There we go. More hot spots pop up. Notice the clicks of the button are very, very short. Never glowing. Alright. Now before we wick it, we want to check one thing. And that one thing is clearance. Because nothing's worse than fully building and installing coils only to wick it up and put the top on and have it foul out. So, grab a little toot here. Okay. We're going to go to settings, we're going to go to measure. Looking at the coils through the chimney. Making sure everything looks good. Usually take off the top cap, look down the top of the barrel, make sure I don't see anything weird. I don't. Everything looks fantastic. Just a quick visual inspection on the deck. Looks good. So now we get to the nitty gritty. Now we're going to wick it. For cotton, I use Muji pads off Amazon. Have so for a very long time. Don't foresee myself ever changing. How thick to go is a common question, and a rule of thumb is usually I'll cut the cotton the width of the coil. So, you know, give or take. So for a 3.5 mil coil, I usually cut a strip. We lay it out. You can see it's about 1.5 times the width of the coil. You don't want too much to where when you pull the cotton through the coil that it actually moves the coil, like physically displaces it. But you want enough in the coil so that there's some drag, some resistance when you pull it through. And peel our outer layer. Grab our ends, give it a little pull. A little pull helps break up the fibers in the center of the coil, the center of the cotton that lands in the center of your coil. You want to make sure you give this time to cool. I myself know that I knew already that that was going to be cool enough where if I ran my cotton through it, it didn't burn my cotton or it didn't burn my hands. So you want to make sure you give it time to cool down. Unless you're into coil scarification, then aliens leave a pretty cool pattern on you. It's a joke. See, for this one, there's too much resistance. Too much. Cut's a little thick for my liking. I'm actually building this tank for a buddy, so I don't want to necessarily take a chance and send him a tank that is going to be wicked too tight, or too loose for that matter, but definitely not over tight. So peel off a little layer of it, send it back through, we're good to go. Now for the Mini, for cutting my wicks, I will take my leg of cotton. Well, let's get this one out of the way. Stay up there. I'll take my leg of cotton and I'll put my scissors right down here under the deck, under that lip. Lay my scissors down. Score it. Chop it. We're going to do the same thing back here. Scissors under the deck. Leg of cotton down. Score it. Chop it. Okay, cotton's cut. From here I'm going to use a little pin pusher tool that I modified the end to be a little hook. You can use whatever you like. I use this just to break up my cotton fibers a bit here before we put them in the deck. I'm not trying to thin them. I'm just trying to break them up a little bit, just so they're fluffy. Okay, you shouldn't need the scissors for these little fluffy pieces of cotton that you've pulled out. Just kind of gently pull at them. Get them off. I'm gonna throw them away. Okay. I will say you always want to have clean hands when you're installing coils or wicking coils, because the oils on your skin can create hot spots on coils and also transfer into the cotton that you're handling to wick your atomizer. So yeah, make sure your hands are clean. And by clean I mean freshly washed. Not like, oh, I haven't stuck my hands in anything yucky in the last couple hours. I mean like, I just washed my hands. So from here all I do is scoop up the leg of cotton, I tuck it under the coil, and I tuck the other one under the coil, and then I simply just kind of make a little bed for it. Let's see if I can do it on this side. Pick it up, over and in. Like that. This side, over and in. Spin it towards me so I can see. When I'm kind of like patting it down here, I'm not using barely any pressure. I'm just making sure that I got my wicking ports covered. I got some nice fluffy cotton under the coil. This guy's ready to go. So, everybody's asked for this Mini V2 wicking tutorial that's up and closely for a long time. So, hopefully you guys enjoy. Peace.